In today's video, we're going to be talking about the tropics very briefly, because again, for the third day in a row, we do not expect any development over the next 7 days, so it should be a relatively quiet and very brief tropical discussion. And then we're going to move right into our upcoming pattern where things are not so quiet. Very stormy, including a moderate risk here for the eastern United States today. So we're going to be touching on some of that. And then we're also going to be moving straight into some other storms down the line as things look more and active really than they've been for the past few weeks or even months. And then the temperature pattern, where we have a big roller coaster of a pattern, cooler air on the way at times, some warm-ups in between. It is truly going to be a roller coaster, so we have so much to go over. But before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather, our other business. It's very exciting, in the description and the pinned comment down below, where you can join today for $5 a month. We're doing weekly consulting calls for you guys over there, also early access to seasonal and monthly forecasts. And we have a lot more on the way for you guys. So much value for this very small price of $5 a month. It's an unbelievable value, actually. Now, as we get into things, again, we're taking a look at this. And like I said earlier, there's not a whole lot happening, so it is a lot quieter here. Let's just take a look at our upcoming pattern. I just want to move straight past it. Obviously, as we're heading into August and eventually September, we do expect that to pick up at a certain point. But right now, we're just in a little bit of a lull. As we just take this model run towards around now, so this is the afternoon time, this video is going to get out a little bit late. You can see we have 1,001 millibar low pressure center there overhead. And underneath of it, we do have a little bit of a frontal boundary here. And we see a lot of storms developing along this line, kind of moving in this motion along and ahead of that cold front. And this is why we have a moderate risk. Somewhere in here is pretty much where that moderate risk is. Outside of there, we have the enhanced risk, which is also relatively high, a slight risk, which is more towards the middle of the road, and then obviously marginal and general thunderstorm risk as you work your way outside. I highly recommend you guys stay up to date with the Storm Prediction Center and your local NWS offices for any updates, warnings, watches, advisories, any of that stuff, because that's where you're going to get that life-saving information. Now, as we take a look here, we can see this is a very widespread storm. We can see tons and tons of thunderstorms happening along this area. Also for the Rockies and Northwest, we see plenty of activity in there. Definitely a very active time frame here. As we work our way towards Tuesday the 8th here, we can see this low actually intensifies to a 996 here for the Northeast, where we could get some more thunderstorm activity from this one. Definitely some persistent rainfall happening for many different areas. We can see the deep south into the southeast as well. We're seeing a lot of this. And then again, for the Rockies here, we're seeing more activity. Kind of have a weaker low pressure system here near Colorado, and that's certainly bringing some impacts. I just want to take us straight towards Wednesday here. And once we do, we can see that there is a 999 up here in Canada, 1,000 millibar low pressure center there, kind of near Dallas-Fort Worth area, just to the west of there actually, kind of northwest actually. And in between these areas, we could see a lot of storms flaring up in here, and I would not be surprised whatsoever if this is our next severe weather risk with this kind of storm. It really looks pretty intense, and I mean, even as we take a look here at the 10th, we could see that this does bring that thunderstorm activity up and down the East Coast once more. Certainly looking to be a very active pattern. As we take a look at the West, though, we see another 999 millibar low pressure center there for North Dakota. Definitely bringing a lot of impacts up and down that area. So again, the activity is just going to be back to back. It does weaken down to 1,001, but it's still bringing plenty of thunderstorm activity here for the upper Midwest and then the south central regions there of Canada. You can see even more activity here for the southeast once again, which is very common this time of year. So I don't want to act like that's anything too crazy. We do typically see chances at thunderstorms nearly daily during the summertime for this area. That area in particular, actually, is it's rather tropical. As we can see, Saturday the 12th here, 1,001 here, kind of a cold front maybe developing here, and this could be another weaker severe weather risk. And we see this does move northward into Canada, as this has been a very common storm track this summer. And there's a little bit of a weak frontal boundary perhaps, but it does look more like isolated to scattered thunderstorms to me. And actually the worst thunderstorms on this particular frame are probably happening here in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa there. That seems to be where we're seeing a majority of this activity. Monday the 14th here, we could see that there is thunderstorms up and down the East Coast once again and back down through the plains in the deeper south. So certainly a very active time Still at the end of this model run, Tuesday the 15th here, a 993 millibar low pressure center is developing. It has this very intense looking cold front swinging underneath, and is bringing a lot of thunderstorm activity here all the way from Montana over through into the upper Midwest and northern plains, as well as the Great Lakes. So we're seeing plenty of areas dealing with these thunderstorms as a result of this. Very intense look still by the time we're taking a look at the 16th here. Look at all these thunderstorms as a result of this area of low pressure. Definitely far spreading here across the United States and a lot of Canada as well. And then once again, we do see this kind of flow of tropical thunderstorms taking place here. We can totally tell that this tropical jet is heading straight through these areas and heading northward up the coast there. And that is where we leave things off here on this model run right here, as we're in the 16th, heading into the 17th by this time frame. This is when we're taking a look at a lot of activity potentially. Now, as we take a look at this total precipitation as a result of all of that, we can see things are quite quiet here in the western states for the most part. Anywhere in the whites is practically no precipitation. Your grays being about 1/10 of an inch or under. Greens are going to be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Blues 1/2 an inch to 1 inch. Your yellow 1 inch to 2 inches. And then as we take a look at the red here, this red area in the east, look at this. This is where we expect above average activity overall. So for a majority here of the eastern areas of North America, anywhere in the yellows again is 1 inch to 2 inches, but the reds are 2 to 5 inches there, which is certainly above normal. And if that's not above normal, certainly these browns and grays here, which we see some of it for Mississippi and Arkansas there, that is going to be 5 to 10 inches of precipitation. Certainly a whole lot on the way potentially, so we really need to watch this very closely. Definitely a flooding risk, severe weather in there, and just overall very stormy. As we take a look at the temperature pattern, we can see this big Arctic blast is right on our doorstep. I mean, look at how cool it is in some of these areas. And by this point, I mean, Canada is certainly dealing with it. We do see a lot of this cooler air taking aim at the eastern United States. And I say cooler because it's not going to be frigid. It's not even going to be cold, but it is an Arctic blast because it is Arctic air blasting into the eastern United States. And that is what the definition is. As we take a look at the west as well, I mean, very cool air out there for a little bit, but we do see this kind of warming trend there in the west, and this is what we call a positive PNA, and that's short for Pacific North American Oscillation. And what this does is it ridges up very far into Canada, and kind of like water and oil, you know how they don't mix, obviously, so they're moving around. That's how the warm air and the cool air work. And we see a lot of this cool air that was there, it gets displaced, and it basically blasts into the eastern United States there, so that Arctic air is forced to blast down. This is classic stuff here, and as we just continue this on, we see this happens a few times actually. Maybe another round here around the 20th. So again, this positive PNA surges here, it displaces the cold, and then it blasts down into the central and eastern states. Nothing crazy, but it will be noticeably cooler if this does occur than what we're dealing with now, and that is all we're calling for here on the channel, regardless of what any comments or anything say, because we get a lot of comments that don't watch the video, they just see the thumbnail and then they, make assumptions. But here's how we end things off on the 22nd, and I still see some very warm signals in this area, indicating maybe more of a positive PNA still trending in, and then cooler air being allowed to head into the eastern states. Anyway, be sure to check out Prestige Weather again in the pinned comment and description down below. You can also subscribe today for daily uploads just like this one. Also, be sure to hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.